So I got rid of the Octi. That was part of my thing that I decided I wanted to do. I'm charging my battery a little bit. I got it on the tender. I think it might have been weak. But the fucking starter clutch sucks. If it's not warmed up for like half an hour or something like that, it doesn't even get a chance to get purchased before this thing moves around a little bit. I also did move the pilots up to 3 turns out. I was hoping it would have started up but without starter fluid, but it didn't. I'm just gonna move on to the Kickstarter. So you have to take off this cover. That's the oil port. You can see your clutch in there. I'm draining the oil because obviously if that's part of the cover and that's supposed to tell you if you got enough oil or not, you're gonna lose all your fucking oil in there. The thing that I know that means it's probably okay for me to add the Kickstarter is, you see that? I don't know, well, I'm just hoping you can see it. Down in there. It's really hard to get enough light. That spindle sticking out, that is supposed to be where you can attach an idle gear. And I bought a gear, and I think it's the right gear, kind of how many teeth are on it. And over there is the hole where you put the end of the shaft for the Kickstarter mechanism that lines up with this hole. Hope this thing is still draining, right? Yeah, okay, that's a lot of oil. I'm surprised how much oil goes in this thing. So anyway, these are the gears that I got. This is the kickstart mechanism. This part here will go into the bearing hole, or the crankcase hole. This right here will be sticking out. And I believe that it is this one that should go on to that spindle that's inside of there. And the only issue I think I'm going to have is that I got all these washers. I think those are my guest washers. Yeah, these are my washers. I don't know if I have a washer that's going to hold on to it, but I've got a thing of clips that are, you know, you just need a clip to hold on to the end of it so it doesn't come flying off. And I'm going to have to read the directions and make sure I put it on the correct direction. I don't know if it goes this way or this way. No point in making assumptions. I see a washer mark on this, so it looks like there's supposed to be a washer on it right there. So it probably goes on facing out this way. We'll see how much it lines up with this. But, so now I'm just waiting for the oil to finish draining out. It's probably going to make a mess anyway. It'll drain forever. And I've had penetrating oil on these things for weeks now in anticipation. I don't know if I'm going to have to remove the foot peg. We'll find out. I'm going to go for just pulling shit apart, and I might want to try to get that crap out of there so it doesn't go into the motor. Clutch is right behind there. I don't think I'm going to have to disconnect the clutch cable, because that's just going to be pushing on the rod or whatever that moves it. But like I said, we'll find out. I can tell that one of the things I'm going to want to do, besides getting the frame painted up and cleaned up, is that bolt. Apparently, one of the engine mounts goes all the way from the other side. I don't know, maybe somebody took it out and put it back in. You could put it in either way, but they went from the right side in. That holds the rear sets and the thing that goes around the brake lever and the foot peg on. And the foot peg just rests on that. I pulled the nut off the other side and got this little bit loose so I could like back it away so I could get that nut out. And we're gonna see if that's enough for me to get the cover off. Moving on. Just a heads up, the bolts that come out, most of them were the shorter ones, but there were 3 long ones. This one was a long one. and I believe these two were long ones. You can sort of tell by like something like that and that, but it's a little harder to tell with these, but you can kind of see because the part of the engine cover is actually the thicker part, and that one I'm pretty sure was the other long one, because I started taking I took out these two first, and then I was like, wait a minute, as soon as I took out the next one down there, I was like, wait, all the rest of them are probably going to be short, whoop, until I got that one random one that was long. So keep your bolts in order, and I'm totally going to clean those fucking things up. Maybe I'll let you see me ripping it apart. So I wedged a rag underneath it because I'm assuming shit's just gonna like dump out. And it is of course on there with 30 or 40 years of force. I don't know if this cover is going to come off unless I do the clutch. I'm going to read the manual for a second. Hold on. Look, it's my Octi. I'm using it as a bookmark. I'm looking at kickstarter removal. Perform steps 1 through 8 of clutch removal in Chapter 5. That's like literally the next page. 1 through 5 basically says drain the oil, take off the front foot pegs. I didn't completely take it off. I might have to. I don't know. They probably just say it because it makes it way easier. Oh, and the brake lever. And then remove the right side of the exhaust system. I do not feel like taking it off. It doesn't look like I need to. Slacken the clutch cable, the lever, remove the 2 screws on the clutch cover, straighten out the retaining clip, push up and release arm, remove the cable from the arm, and remove the 13 Allen bolts of the right side cover, remove the clutch cable from the cover. So, that's what it was talking about. I just took out those 13 Allen bolts I was showing you. So, that's step 1 through 8, and I think I'm okay, but I'm gonna go and take off the bolts on the clutch cover. I don't know where my regular hammer is, but once again, this is one of those things where the number 3 head is the tip that you want to put in there. I'll show you a number 2, and you'll see it goes in there, but it's really loose. And number 3 goes in, and if it's really tight, I heard you're supposed to bang them a little bit. That's going to be breaking up the whatever shit might be fucking with the bolt or the screw that's in there. And I do have a impact drill, but I'm gonna do this and see if I can get it. Not too bad. Not too bad. Oh, I'm actually getting a good angle here. Oh, I forgot to loosen up the clutch cable. Let's see what we get here. It's not trying to pop off, so probably okay. Look like shit on the outside, but not too marred up. I'm surprised how many of the bolts look really clean on the threads. Ah, that's funny. Does it just want to come off?
To speak up more about the irresponsibilities of our government after the hurricane. And
there's a pry point down there. It didn't say anything about a pry point, but I guess that's what I gotta do. I'm gonna loosen up the clutch cable and then I'll let you see me pull it apart. So I loosened up the clutch cable. The clutch didn't, I squeezed it and it didn't make it want to pop off, which I'm kind of surprised. I would have thought that. Of course, I don't have. Got a better screwdriver here.
The most beautiful lesson is we trust in us.
My name is Javier. I was born here in 1967, 50 years ago. Before the hurricane,
that is dirty.
The misconception is that we weren't American citizens.
Another patient told me that the storm's power
cool.
reached way beyond Puerto Rico's shores.
One like that. That's kind of an interesting mechanism there. Let's take a look at this. I mean, I might just be able to leave it connected, but So this pulls up on there. How does that connect into it?
Over the music and the joyful clinking of glasses, I heard the same message loud and clear.
I wonder how that's supposed to go in it. I mean, how does it come out? You don't have to bend that tab to get it off, do you? Shit. That kind of sucks. You need to fuck up the tab. I mean, this here probably only goes on one way. I'll clean this up later. What do you think about this? Nice little oil seal there. It's nice the oil seal's not leaking. I might... What does this do? What happens when I pull the clutch? I loosened it up a lot. Yeah, see, it pushes in the rod. So it's out now. I think I could probably pull off the cover without even taking that off, rather than mess things up. Let me see what happens. Let's see what happens here. So you can actually get to a pry point or something. On the clutch doesn't make it come off. I was really hoping that that would, maybe if I pull it. Oh, there you go. See? I'm a smart one. Oh boy. Until I try to get it back on. Oh. That. So, and there's a big chunk of shit in there. What the fuck could that be? That sucks. I don't know what that is. It's garbage now. Oh, you know, it's probably a chunk of the gasket. Yeah. I fucked up the bottom of the gasket. Right down here at the bottom. The most important part, of course. And there's my little... Still more shit like in there. I'm gonna have to clean this thing out. You know, I am gonna have to take off the cable eventually because I want to paint that, I think, before I put it on. Oof. There's so much crud. Okay, we're getting closer. Really not too much oil came out. I don't know if the clutch looks good or bad, but it looks like all the other clutches I've seen. This one's crazy. It's got it's actually got 6 bolts. The spring's holding it down all the way right there. This is part of the ring on the outside edge. And you know what? That is rusty as fuck. That sucks. That right there was the part that was not submerged in oil when this thing sat around for such a long time. Now I don't know if that'll come. No, it's part of the clutch basket. That outer ring right there. I hate to have to take it apart just to fix that. That basically means that there's going to be rusty crud kicking around in there. It's not the worst. I'm pretty sure it'll still run. I don't feel like getting into, you know, sticking with the clutch too much. That right there. It's normal. These things usually have little micro cracks on them. Alright, so I'm gonna not use that rag. That there is where I gotta put the cog, or the gear. That there is where it's gonna go. And it hooks right on there. The spring hooks right there. So I got a lot of work ahead of me. This is just me getting it open. And I'm not going to fuck with that ring around the clutch. It's obviously been spinning. It's fine. And I don't think it's stuck. Okay. Moving on. We'll see if... I mean, I'll show real quick just me trying to put those on. Hold on. Okay, so I'm playing around with it, and it feels really loose. But if you quickly pull it one way, you hear a little clank right there. I think that it's like a centripetal force kind of thing. That must be how it is, because I don't think that spindle would be sitting there if it wasn't meant for putting the gear on. Because it fits on there perfectly. And I believe that's the way it goes. I believe that's how it goes. I just don't know how I'm going to get a circle clip around it. Right there. Yeah. That is the gap. And supposedly you can get a washer on it and a circle clip. I don't have a washer. I don't know if that's going to be a problem. And frankly, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get the circle clip around it, because it's not metric. But we're going to try.
The members that live in this community know what's happening, so it's very important to have that working relationship with the adults, so they give them understand what our mission is, what we're doing, and of course get their feedback on what they feel is working, what isn't working.
For Erika Pulido, a working mom, the steel monolith outside the front door is working. She says she
This is going to be a struggle. And I'm going to drop my camera. So, I'm going to try to get it on. Give me a little bit. So I got a whole bunch of circle clips, and because I didn't have a washer, it said that I was supposed to take a washer, not a shim. I put on one big circle clip. It was floppy and loose. I put on 2 circle clips, and man, it was a bitch to get that one on there. And I'm like looking at it, and it's barely like in the lip. It's in the lip because it's not going anywhere. Because I can pull on that, and it doesn't want to go. It doesn't want to go anywhere. And you can makes it a little bit stiffer to pull on this, but you can still move it. So it's not sloppy anymore, which I think is a good thing, because that would have really upset me. So now if I throw this bad boy in there, get it in. Lines up perfect. And I just have to figure out which direction I'm supposed to turn this to get the spring on. And supposedly this is the shim that needs to be somewhere. It's in there. There's my instructions. So in there, see, it was supposed to have a washer, number 10, or I guess it was supposed to have a shim, my bad. And then right here, number 4 is supposed to be a washer. So it goes circle clip. That's the circle clip. Then it's supposed to go washer. Then it's supposed to go oil seal. And this is the fucked up oil seal, but hopefully it's the right size. I ordered another one because I told the guy he sent me a fucked up one. See? It's not a perfect circle. I was like, what the hell? So that, I guess, I have to pop into the case. And yeah, I'm just gonna go with it. This is on here. tighten, bearing clearance, that's this, broken chip, retention clip, installation, apply assembly oil, wait, what is this to, internal, remove 3 bolts, unhook, return spring from the lug, assembly removed, kickstart assembly, installation, internal kickstart assembly, reassemble the crankcase. That was to, if you were taking out the internal assembly, that's those things right there. And okay, install the external Kickstarter assembly partially into the crankcase. Hook return spring onto the lug on the crankcase and temporarily install kickstart lever. Rotate the assembly 180 degrees counterclockwise or until the Kickstarter gear engages with the idle gear. Number 2. Make sure the lug, figure A, 93, is positioned correctly below the lug. Figure 93B. Make sure it's in there. And is shown with the clutch assembly removed for clarity. Check the operation of the assembly. Remove the Kickstarter lever. Install the clutch components, blah 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 blah. So I guess I'm going to get it in there, get the spring on.
And there's renewed disagreement over drafting ultra-Orthodox Jews to the army. Recent polls show Netanyahu winning the next elections, but his political future is uncertain because justice officials say they'll decide soon.
I don't know if that's right.
Netanyahu will face
There we go.
charges.
Well, now it's on there.
Netanyahu said he wants his
So
coalition
I'll put a kickstart lever on and we'll see what happens.
to form the core of the next government.
So I was really pissed because this thing right here just keeps on turning, which makes me think that I am missing the internal gear, which sucks because it says I have to split the crankcase apart, but I'm going to take off this and see what it looks like behind there and see what's actually there. That means I gotta take off the clutch. I just took off the bolts and the springs, but I found something really weird. What the hell is that? There ain't no others sticking out of anywhere else. Did somebody like shove a fucking paperclip into this goddamn thing? I know that's not in the fucking diagram. What the fuck? So anyway, just gotta bend that and crack the nut. Whatever. Another one of these fucked up, botched up things I keep running into. So we'll see. Yeah. So I got the clutch off and I took off this thing here that was on there like that, or it was on there like that. So that was not a big deal. But behind it, see that little hole right there? There's supposed to be a goddamn spring in it. And there's supposed to be a gear, which I believe hooks into this gear. This one, I think, is this one. And so I have on there right now, let's see what's 15, the circlip. So I've got all of this, that right there, the circlip holding on that. I can see the little, on that side of it, you just can't see it, but there's these little chads, and they're one directional sort of things, you know? And there's supposed to be this and a clip. It goes into the little notches over there. So it's kind of fucked up that this thing is just in there, and you can tell that this just fucking turns and does absolutely nothing. But if this was connected to that, as you hit the Kickstarter, it would grab it in some way or whatever and fucking start moving. I got it in first right now because I had to pull off the clutch, and you had to bust out the impact drill to take off the nut. That's the nut. That was behind it. That washer was behind that. Yeah, and I was an idiot. The spring, the little piece of shit that I had in there that I thought was a piece of shit, that thing, yeah, it's actually important. I mean, I don't know how important it is, but it's part of it. It's, I didn't think it was that small. It's that little thing. So I didn't fuck it up completely, but it's still in there, and I didn't even take apart the plates. So I'm gonna go online and look to see if I can find that fucking part. I don't know what the hell you call it. I guess you call it a number 14, a ratcheted wheel and a clip. Wish me luck. Come on, eBay gods. Oh god. So I found the part. 1979 Yamaha XS1100 kickstart shaft and gear assembly. That's the part I'm missing. That's a clip I'm missing. That, I don't know what the hell that is. Maybe that's the washer. But this way I'm going to get the retaining clip and the washer that was in that gear that I already have. And I don't need most of this, but maybe I'll just sell it or do something else with it. So now I'm waiting. And it's funny because this thing was coming from Elmira, Oregon. I thought when it said Elmira that it was from my old hometown. That funny. Moving on. Waiting.